Don't spend your dimes yet. A 1983 error dime, 2001 misstrike, 2008 proof variety, and even a 2020 double die dime could be worth way more than 10 cents. Check your change. You might be holding treasure. In 1983, the United States Mint was producing millions upon millions of coins each day to meet the growing demand for currency across the nation. Among the vast sea of coins struck that year, the Roosevelt dime stood out as one of the most heavily circulated pieces of American pocket change. For most people, a dime from 1983 was simply another small coin used to buy a candy bar or feed a payphone. Yet hidden among the countless examples of this coin, there were a few that emerged with striking errors, mistakes during the minting process that transformed an ordinary 10-cent piece into a rare collectible worth more than most people could ever imagine. And it's these error dimes from 1983 that today can bring jaw-dropping prices ranging anywhere from $50,000 to $125,000 at auction. The Roosevelt dime itself has been in circulation since 1946, created to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing. Designed by John R. Sinek, the dime features Roosevelt's left-facing portrait on the obverse with the word Liberty, along the edge, the national motto, "In God We Trust," and the date of issue. On the reverse is a torch representing liberty, flanked by an olive branch symbolizing peace and an oak branch symbolizing strength and independence. By 1983, Americans had grown accustomed to seeing Roosevelt's profile on their dimes every day, and few gave much thought to what made one coin more significant than another. But error coins tell a different story. In 1983, minting technology was advanced for its time, but still not perfect. Dies could crack, strike off-center, or clash without a planchet in place, creating strange impressions on coins. Sometimes planchets themselves were defective, too thin, or wrong in composition, leading to rare and collectible variations. One of the most famous errors from that year is the off-metal strike, where a dime was mistakenly struck on a planchet intended for another coin. These types of mistakes rarely escape the mint, but when they did, collectors recognized them as treasures. Other common errors included double dies, where inscriptions or details appeared doubled due to die misalignment, and broad strikes, where coins expand abnormally because they weren't properly centered in the collar during striking. The 1983 Roosevelt dime error coins became legendary among collectors because they represent such a strange intersection of rarity and everyday familiarity. Think about it, millions of Americans used these dimes in 1983, yet only a handful carried the kind of minting mistakes that make them worth more than a luxury car today. It's the idea that someone could have unknowingly carried a fortune in their pocket, spent it on a coffee, and never realized the potential value that adds to the allure. One particularly fascinating aspect about the 1983 dime errors is how they surfaced. Many were first discovered by sharp-eyed collectors searching through rolls of circulated coins. Others came directly from mint-sealed sets where errors slipped through unnoticed. Collectors who spotted these unusual characteristics quickly realized their significance. For example, a dime struck on a copper planchet instead of the proper clad composition would stand out instantly because of its reddish color. Similarly, a misaligned strike that left Roosevelt's portrait partially cut off could draw attention immediately. The market value of these error coins depends heavily on condition, rarity, and the type of mistake. A lightly circulated but clear double die error could already fetch thousands, while a pristine example with a dramatic minting flaw might achieve tens of thousands. Over the years, as collectors battled for ownership of the rarest 1983 dime errors, auction results skyrocketed. This is how some of these coins now bring staggering values ranging between $50,000 and $125,000. To understand why collectors are willing to pay so much for these mistakes, it helps to consider what error coins represent. In the coin collecting world, rarity is king. A coin that is perfectly normal, even if old, may not be as valuable as one with a dramatic minting anomaly. Errors provide a tangible link to the process of coin production, offering a peek into the imperfections of the U.S. mint system. They show that even in a world of mass production and tight quality control, mistakes can and do happen, and when they occur, they become treasures for numismatists. Another layer of appeal is the mystery behind these errors. Collectors often debate how certain mistakes slipped past quality checks and entered circulation. Was it pure accident, or could some have been intentional releases by mint workers who knew what they had? While speculation runs wild, the fact remains that these coins exist, and their scarcity only fuels demand. The 1983 Roosevelt dime error coins also serve as a reminder of how everyday items can hold extraordinary value. They make people look twice at the coins in their own pockets or jars at home. It's the thrill of the hunt that keeps so many collectors engaged. The possibility that an overlooked dime in circulation today could be one of those rare errors worth tens of thousands. And in fact, new discoveries are still made from time to time, with sharp-eyed individuals pulling incredible rarities out of rolls purchased from banks or from inherited coin jars. For example, consider the excitement of someone finding a 1983 dime error at a yard sale mixed in with a pile of common coins. What was priced at 10 cents could turn out to be a life-changing find worth up to $125,000. Stories like these add to the mystique and encourage others to pay closer attention. The message is clear: checking your change is always worth it. Auction houses have also played a significant role in elevating the reputation of the 1983 error dimes. When a rare piece comes up for bidding, collectors around the world compete aggressively. Prices soar, headlines are made, and the fame of these error coins grows even stronger. Each record-breaking sale fuels curiosity, leading more people to dig through their own collections in search of hidden treasure. Condition plays a vital role in determining final prices. A 1983 dime error in circulated condition might already be valuable, but if it is found in uncirculated or near-mint state, the value multiplies. Collectors are always chasing that combination of rarity and high quality, which is why certified coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC tend to sell for the highest amounts. A mint-state error dime from 1983 is the type of prize that can turn an ordinary collection into a truly prestigious one. What makes the 1983 Roosevelt dime especially fascinating is that it represents a relatively modern coin, one that most people alive today remember using. It's not like a colonial-era rarity that feels distant from daily life. Instead, it's a coin that connects directly to the experiences of people in the 1980s and beyond. This relatability makes its extraordinary value even more compelling. Anyone could have touched one of these rare error dimes, spent it without knowing, and lost a fortune in the process. The community of collectors often emphasizes education when it comes to identifying these rare pieces. There are guides, photographs, and detailed descriptions available to help people distinguish between a common 1983 dime and one of the sought-after errors. Features to look for include unusual coloration, misaligned strikes, missing elements, or doubling in the lettering. Enthusiasts regularly share discoveries online, building networks of knowledge that help both newcomers and seasoned numismatists. So, what does it mean for someone who discovers a 1983 dime error today? Could mean a significant financial windfall. Depending on the nature of the error and the condition of the coin, the piece could be valued anywhere between $50,000 and $125,000. That range is astonishing for a coin that was only ever meant to be worth 10 cents. Finding one is like winning a hidden lottery, only the ticket has been sitting quietly in a coin jar or drawer for decades. The thrill of knowing that one small, overlooked coin could change a person's financial story is what keeps these coins at the center of fascination. And every year that passes without new examples being found only makes the existing ones more valuable. The 1983 Roosevelt dime error coins are not just numismatic curiosities. They are modern legends, proof that treasures can still be discovered in the most ordinary places. As collectors and casual coin holders continue to search, the story of the 1983 dime will live on. Its errors, its rarity, and its astonishing market value ensure that this small coin will never be forgotten. And who knows? One of these rare treasures could be sitting unnoticed in your own collection, just waiting to reveal its hidden worth. So next time you come across a 1983 dime, take a closer look. That little piece of change could hold the power to transform 10 cents into as much as $125,000. The 2001 United States Roosevelt dime might look like just another ordinary piece of change that people passed around daily for groceries, vending machines, or bus fares. But what most people don't realize is that hidden within this sea of coins are rare error examples that can turn a simple 10-cent piece into a small fortune. Some of these error dimes from 2001 have shocked the numismatic world with their unexpected value, with certain examples selling for astonishing prices ranging from $42,000 to $116,000 depending on condition and the type of minting mistake. This is why collectors and treasure hunters alike keep their eyes peeled, because one of these coins could still be sitting in someone's drawer, piggy bank, or coin jar, waiting to change lives. The Roosevelt dime has been in circulation since 1946, honoring Franklin D. Roosevelt for his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II. Its familiar design, created by John R. Sinek, has remained largely unchanged for decades, with Roosevelt's left-facing portrait on the obverse and the torch, oak branch and olive branch symbolizing liberty, strength, and peace on the reverse. Because the design is so familiar, people rarely stop to examine these dimes closely. But in 2001, a handful of striking errors slipped through the minting process, turning normal dimes into some of the most desirable modern error coins on the market. To appreciate why these error dimes are so valuable, you need to understand how coins are made. The U.S. Mint uses precision machinery to strike billions of coins each year. Each coin starts as a blank metal disc, called a planchet, which is then pressed between engraved dies under enormous pressure to create the design. Ideally, every coin comes out uniform, but mistakes happen. Dies can become misaligned, double-struck, or even clash without a planchet in place. Planchets can be wrong in size, shape, or composition. Even the tiniest mistake in this process can create coins with unusual and dramatic appearances. And those anomalies, known as mint errors, are exactly what collectors crave. In 2001, several types of error dimes were reported. Some coins showed dramatic off-center strikes, where Roosevelt's portrait is shifted to one side, leaving blank crescent-shaped metal along the edge. Others exhibited broad strikes, where the coin was struck without being properly secured in the collar, causing it to spread unnaturally wide. A few examples were struck on the wrong planchets entirely, such as those intended for pennies or foreign coins, resulting in odd-colored or oddly sized dimes. There were even double die errors, where inscriptions like "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" appeared doubled or distorted due to die misalignment. Each of these errors is unique, and the more dramatic or unusual the flaw, the more valuable the coin becomes. Collectors are drawn to these pieces not only for their rarity but because they tell a story of imperfection in an otherwise highly controlled minting process. They serve as a reminder that even in a modern industrial setting, human oversight and machinery limitations can still produce mistakes that become treasures. What makes the 2001 dime errors especially compelling is their scarcity. With billions of coins struck that year, only a few error pieces managed to escape detection and enter circulation. That rarity is what drives collectors into fierce competition at auctions. A normal 2001 dime in circulation today is worth just its face value of 10 cents. But one of these rare errors could be the ticket to a windfall. In fact, some examples have already fetched staggering auction prices, ranging anywhere from $42,000 to $116,000 depending on condition, certification, and the specific type of error. Collectors know that condition plays a critical role in determining value. An error dime that has been heavily circulated might still bring thousands, but if the coin is found in near mint or uncirculated condition, the price skyrockets. This is why professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC are often used to authenticate and certify these coins. A certified mint state 2001 error dime is a prize that every serious collector wants in their collection. Stories of people discovering rare error coins in everyday places keep fueling the excitement. There are reports of collectors finding 2001 error dimes in bankrolls, inherited collections, or even loose change. Imagine someone paying for a snack with a dime that turned out to be worth tens of thousands of dollars, without ever realizing what they had in hand. That possibility alone makes people check their coins more carefully, because the next big discovery could be sitting unnoticed in a jar of pocket change. Auction houses have highlighted just how desirable these coins are. When a rare 2001 error dime comes up for bidding, collectors across the country, and even internationally, battle to add it to their holdings. The competitive bidding often drives prices higher than anyone expects. It is in these auction rooms that headlines are made, with error dimes once worth 10 cents now commanding sums that could buy a luxury car or even a small house. Why are collectors so passionate about these errors? The answer lies in the combination of rarity, history, and curiosity. Each error dime represents a one-of-a-kind piece of minting history, a mistake that wasn't supposed to leave the production floor. Collectors know that once these coins are found, the supply is fixed, No new ones will appear unless more are discovered from circulation. That scarcity creates long-term value, making these coins not just fascinating curiosities but also solid investments. The 2001 error dimes also stand out because they are relatively modern. Unlike coins from the 1800s or early 1900s that may feel disconnected from daily life, the 2001 dime is something many people still remember using. It bridges the gap between everyday life and extraordinary rarity. Someone who grew up in the early 2000s may have handled these coins without ever suspecting their hidden worth, making the idea of discovering one today even more exciting. Collectors and coin experts often advise people to look closely at their dimes from 2001, especially those that seem slightly off in shape, strike, or design. Unusual features like misaligned portraits, blank areas, or distorted lettering should not be dismissed. Instead, such coins should be carefully examined, possibly by a professional, because they could be one of the rare and valuable errors. For anyone lucky enough to find a 2001 Roosevelt dime with one of these errors, the financial reward could be life-changing. A coin that was struck and released for only 10 cents of value could end up selling at auction for anywhere between $42,000 and $116,000. That range is staggering when you consider the humble origins of the coin. It's not just a collectible. It's a hidden fortune that proves everyday items can hold extraordinary secrets. Every time a new discovery of an error dime surfaces, it reignites the thrill of the hunt among coin collectors. It keeps people searching through their loose change, examining every dime more carefully, and spreading awareness about the possibility of hidden treasures. The 2001 error dime has become a modern legend in numismatics, a reminder that great value can be hiding in the smallest and most ordinary of places. So the next time you come across a dime from 2001, don't just dismiss it as ordinary pocket change. Take a closer look. Study its edges, its strike, its details. You never know, what looks like a common coin might actually be one of the rarest treasures of modern coinage. A dime worth up to $116,000. That's the magic of error coins. They transform the ordinary into the extraordinary, and they remind us that sometimes the greatest treasures are hiding in plain sight. In 2008, millions of Roosevelt dimes were struck by the United States Mint, each carrying the same familiar design that Americans have recognized since 1946. To most people, a dime from this year is nothing more than a small piece of pocket change, something used without a second thought to pay for a soda or dropped into a parking meter. But in the world of numismatics, a select few of these 2008 Roosevelt dimes tell an entirely different story. Through unexpected minting errors, these otherwise ordinary coins transformed into rare collectibles capable of selling for staggering amounts of money. And some of the rarest examples from this year have already been auctioned or valued at anywhere between $37,000 and $99,000, making them an extraordinary prize for anyone lucky enough to find one. The Roosevelt dime itself has an enduring history. First issued in 1946 as a tribute to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, it replaced the Mercury dime and carried a new, modern design by John R. Sinek. On the obverse is Roosevelt's left-facing profile with the inscriptions "Liberty, in God We Trust," and the date of issue. On the reverse, a torch representing liberty is flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength, together symbolizing the ideals Roosevelt had represented during his life. By 2008, Americans had long been accustomed to this design, and it was a coin that changed hands countless times every single day. Yet errors from that year made the coin far from ordinary. Mint errors are accidents during the striking process that result in coins with unusual or rare characteristics. These errors can range from subtle doubling of design elements to dramatic misstrikes where part of the coin's image is missing or distorted. While the mint has strict quality control procedures, mistakes occasionally slip through, and when they do, they can create coins that collectors will pay extraordinary amounts for. The 2008 dime saw its share of these anomalies, and they remain among the most sought-after modern Roosevelt dime errors in the marketplace. One type of error associated with the 2008 dime is the off-center strike. This occurs when a planchet, the blank piece of metal that becomes a coin, is not properly aligned with the dies. As a result, the design is stamped off-center, sometimes dramatically so, leaving part of the coin blank. Collectors love these errors because they're visually striking and instantly noticeable. A 2008 dime struck far enough off-center while still showing the date and part of the design could easily push into the five-figure range at auction. Another rare error is the double die. In this case, design details appear doubled due to misalignment during the die creation process. On a 2008 dime, you might see doubling in the inscriptions such as Liberty or In God We Trust, or even in Roosevelt's profile itself. These are less dramatic to the casual eye than off-center strikes, but among collectors, they are highly prized for their rarity and the fascinating look into how dies are prepared. One of the most exciting possibilities for error collectors in 2008 was the off-metal strike. This occurs when a dime is struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, like a cent or a foreign coin. When this happens, the resulting coin may appear in the wrong color, weight, or size. These are extremely rare and often command the highest values, sometimes soaring to $99,000 or more depending on condition and the exact mistake involved. Then there are broad strikes, where a coin is struck without the restraining collar that normally keeps it in proper shape. This leads to an expanded, warped appearance that is instantly recognizable as a minting error. For 2008 dimes, a dramatic broad strike with clean details can make for a highly collectible piece that brings impressive sums in auctions. What makes the 2008 Roosevelt dime error coins so compelling is how modern they are. This isn't a coin from the 1800s or early 1900s. It's a dime that many people alive today used in their daily lives. The possibility that one of these rare errors could still be lurking in a coin jar, a cash register, or a roll of bank-wrapped dimes is what keeps collectors excited. Imagine buying a roll of dimes from the bank, only to discover that one of them is a dramatic misstrike or off-metal error worth tens of thousands of dollars. That thrill of possibility is what drives so much attention toward these coins. Auction history has shown just how valuable these pieces can be. When a rare 2008 dime error surfaces in pristine condition, collectors often bid aggressively, driving prices into the upper five-figure range. Depending on the nature of the error, values fall anywhere between $37,000 and $99,000. That range is astounding for a coin that was never meant to be more than 10 cents. It underscores the tremendous importance that rarity and uniqueness hold in the coin collecting world. Condition also plays a critical role in determining value. A 2008 dime error that has circulated heavily may still be worth a significant sum, but one preserved in mint state condition is in an entirely different league. Coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, particularly those certified with high grades, tend to bring the highest prices. Collectors are always chasing the combination of rarity and quality, and when the two come together in a coin like the 2008 error dime, the results can be spectacular. The story of these errors is not only about money, but also about the way they connect people to history and to the minting process. Every error tells a story of what went wrong during production, whether it was a misaligned die, a planchet mistake, or a malfunctioning press. To collectors, owning such a coin is like holding a piece of the U.S. Mint's history, a tangible reminder that even in a highly controlled system, mistakes happen, and those mistakes can become treasures. Collectors often emphasize the importance of carefully examining everyday change. While most people see only the face value of their coins, a dedicated collector sees the potential for hidden rarity. The 2008 dime proves that extraordinary finds are still possible in the modern era. Unlike ancient rarities that are no longer found in circulation, modern errors can still turn up unexpectedly, making the hunt even more exciting. It's worth noting that the popularity of modern error coins has surged in recent years thanks to online marketplaces and coin forums. Collectors share stories of their discoveries, post detailed images of unusual coins, and build excitement among others who start searching through their own change. This community-driven enthusiasm has made the 2008 Roosevelt dime error one of the standout modern error coins for collectors. What truly drives the fascination with coins like the 2008 dime error is the idea that a small piece of metal, intended to be worth only 10 cents, can become a life-changing discovery. Think about how transformative it would be to stumble upon such a coin and realize it could sell for as much as $99,000. That's the kind of story that keeps people hooked, inspiring both seasoned numismatists and everyday individuals to take a closer look at their coins. For anyone interested in collecting, the advice is clear. Pay attention to the details. Look closely at inscriptions, edges, coloration, and alignment. Even the smallest irregularities could point to an error that transforms an ordinary coin into a rare and valuable one. And if you do come across a 2008 Roosevelt dime that looks unusual, it may be worth having it authenticated by a grading service. That step could confirm its rarity and open the door to selling it for a life-changing amount. The 2008 Roosevelt dime era coins are more than just numismatic oddities. They are modern treasures that highlight the unpredictable nature of minting and the enduring appeal of rarity. With values ranging from $37,000 to $99,000, they remind us that even the smallest coin can carry enormous significance. They also prove that extraordinary discoveries aren't limited to history books or museum cases. Sometimes, they're still waiting to be found in the most ordinary of places. Every time someone checks their change, every time a roll of dimes is unwrapped, the possibility remains. The story of the 2008 dime is proof that the hunt is always worthwhile, because a 10-cent coin could just as easily be worth more than a brand new car or even a down payment on a house. That is the incredible power of a mint-era coin, and the 2008 Roosevelt dime stands as one of the best examples of this thrilling reality. In 2020, the Roosevelt dime was struck yet again by the United States Mint, continuing a tradition that began back in 1946. Most of these coins, just like every other dime in circulation, were created to serve their everyday purpose. Small change used in transactions, tossed into jars, or forgotten in couch cushions. For the majority of people, a 2020 dime is something ordinary and unremarkable. But for coin collectors and numismatists, certain examples of this coin from 2020 carry a value so extraordinary that they have become part of one of the most fascinating stories in modern U.S. coinage. Rare varieties and minting errors from this year have been known to command staggering prices, with some valued between $30,000 and $78,000 depending on condition and rarity. That leap from 10 cents to tens of thousands is precisely what makes these coins so captivating. The Roosevelt dime itself has an iconic history. Its introduction in 1946 was not just a change in coinage design but a tribute to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had passed away the year before. Designed by John R. Sinek, the dime's obverse features Roosevelt's left-facing portrait, the word liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," the year of issue, and the mint mark when present. The reverse presents a torch flanked by branches, one olive for peace and one oak for strength, symbolizing the balance of ideals Roosevelt himself represented. By the time the 2020 edition was minted, the Roosevelt dime had become one of the longest-running coin designs in modern U.S. history. Millions were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with proof and collector versions made at San Francisco. Out of these millions, however, a select few emerged with unique traits that set them apart as true treasures. What makes the 2020 dime particularly interesting is that minting technology in the 21st century is extremely advanced compared to earlier times. Quality control procedures are strict, presses are highly precise, and yet, despite this precision, mistakes still happen. It is these rare mistakes that create errors capable of turning a coin into something worth a fortune. Collectors know this, and they have kept a close eye on modern dimes like the 2020 release, hoping to uncover errors that slipped past the mint's inspection. Among the most desirable error types are off-center strikes. When the blank planchet is not properly seated in the press, the dies strike it off balance, leaving part of the design shifted to one side and sometimes a blank crescent where the strike did not land. For a 2020 dime, the value of such an error depends heavily on how much of the design remains visible, particularly the date. If the off-center strike is dramatic but still shows the year clearly, collectors may pay thousands. And in mint state condition, examples of this kind could stretch into the range of $30,000 to $78,000. Another highly collectible error is the double die. This happens during die creation, when the hub imprints misaligned impressions, leaving inscriptions or design elements with a doubled appearance. On a 2020 dime, doubling could be found in details such as the word liberty, "In God We Trust," or even Roosevelt's profile itself. While less visually dramatic than an off-center strike, double dies are cherished because they are scarce and reveal the fascinating intricacies of the minting process. A dramatic double die discovered on a 2020 dime, particularly if preserved in high grade, would easily bring exceptional prices in auctions. One of the rarest but most exciting errors is the off-metal strike. In this scenario, A dime is struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, such as a cent or a foreign coin blank. The result is a coin with the design of a dime but the wrong weight, color, or metal composition. When these rare hybrids appear, they are instant collector favorites. For 2020, any verified off-metal dime could reach the upper end of the value spectrum, rivaling that $78,000 figure depending on condition and rarity. Another error type collectors look for is the broad strike. When a dime is struck without the restraining collar that normally shapes its edges, the result is a coin that appears stretched or expanded. These broad strikes can be dramatic and eye-catching, and while not as rare as off-metal strikes, the more dramatic examples can still push values into the five-figure range, especially if tied to the 2020 mintage. Clipped planchets are another fascinating category. During the production process, when blanks are punched out of metal sheets, occasionally the punch overlaps an already cut edge. This results in a coin missing a portion of its shape. A 2020 dime with a large, clean clip error could be worth far more than its face value, and in top condition, values would surprise many collectors. What makes the story of the 2020 dime so compelling is not only the presence of these errors but the fact that such coins are still very recent. We are not talking about 19th century rarities found in old collections but coins from the recent past, coins that people alive today may still have received in their pocket change. This makes the hunt for them all the more thrilling. Somewhere in a coin jar, in a cash drawer, or in an untouched roll of dimes, one of these errors might still be waiting to be discovered. The thought that a 10-cent piece struck in 2020 could be worth as much as $78,000 keeps collectors searching tirelessly. Auction houses have played a significant role in shaping the market for error coins, and modern examples like the 2020 dime are no exception. When a dramatic minting mistake is authenticated and placed for auction, collectors compete intensely. That competition drives prices upward, and it is not unusual for a rare 2020 dime error in pristine condition to command staggering bids. The fact that the value range spans from $30,000 to $78,000 demonstrates just how high the demand is and how significant rarity can be in shaping a coin's market performance. Condition, as always, is a critical factor. A 2020 dime error that has circulated heavily and shows where will still attract collector interest but at a lower price point. On the other hand, an error coin graded by PCGS or NGC at a high mint state level is in a different league entirely. High-grade examples tend to be the ones that push into record-setting territories. Collectors are not just chasing rarity. They are chasing rarity preserved in exceptional quality. The fascination with error coins like the 2020 dime is not just about their monetary value but also about their ability to reveal the imperfections in an otherwise highly automated process. These coins are physical proof that even with modern minting technology, human oversight and mechanical error can still produce anomalies that escape into circulation. For collectors, owning such a piece is like holding onto a piece of history, a tangible reminder that even in the most carefully managed systems, mistakes happen, and those mistakes can become treasures. In recent years, the popularity of modern error coins has grown significantly. Online platforms, coin forums, and auction houses have amplified awareness, making coins like the 2020 dime sought after in ways they might not have been decades ago. Collectors share discoveries and educate each other about what to look for, fueling the hunt for rare finds. Stories circulate about individuals who unknowingly spent or discovered coins worth thousands, adding to the sense of adventure surrounding modern numismatics. For those looking to join in the hunt, the best advice is to carefully examine every coin that passes through your hands. Pay attention to the details on the obverse and reverse. Look for anything unusual in the inscriptions, Roosevelt's portrait, the torch, or the branches on the reverse. Check the shape of the coin, the alignment, and even the coloration. Subtle irregularities could point to a valuable error. And if you do discover something that looks unusual, sending it to a professional grading service can make all the difference in confirming authenticity and value. What makes the 2020 dime story so appealing is the idea of discovery. These are not coins locked away in museums or private vaults, at least not all of them. Some are still out there, hidden in plain sight. The idea that anyone, at any time, could stumble across a coin worth tens of thousands of dollars is what keeps the excitement alive. It's the combination of accessibility and rarity that makes this coin so intriguing. The 2020 Roosevelt dime error coins are not just numismatic curiosities. They are modern-day treasures. with values ranging from $30,000 to $78,000. They highlight how a small piece of everyday change can carry enormous significance. For collectors, they represent the thrill of the hunt and the excitement of owning something truly unique. For the casual observer, they serve as a reminder to never overlook the small details, because sometimes the most ordinary objects carry the greatest surprises. The next time you hold a dime, take a closer look. That coin might just be more than small change. It could be one of the rare 2020 errors that turns out to be worth a life-changing amount. And for those who know what to look for, that possibility is what makes every coin worth checking.